up and totally will be worth your while. I'm Janet Pearson, the head of South by Southwest Film. Day 3, the 21st edition of South by Southwest Film. Are you seeing stuff you like? We're hearing that people are loving the movies, and we're hearing that people are mostly getting in. Some things are selling out and turning away, but the systems are working well, and I just have to make sure you know we'll be running movies through March 15th. We're in 10 venues, 11 screens. We run from 11 in the morning through midnight shows, and we just think the program this year is incredibly strong on so many fronts. So as I've said over and over again, because it's true, thank you. It's the alchemy of you coming to these films that bring them alive, that make it a great experience, and it's what people love about South by Southwest. It's all about you interacting with the work. So thank you for your part in it, and we hope you'll continue coming all week. So thanks for that. We'll keep it short to get stuff going. A peak experience for me last year was showing Before Midnight in this theater. I think it's right, I just think it's a masterpiece, and I'm, a huge fan of Rick's, and it's affected my life in so many ways. I love the movie so much, and I thought that's a peak experience. Well, it didn't occur to me that we'd be back without breaking the glass ceiling this year again. So, and it's been nothing else like this ever. So I want to help introduce it. I want to bring somebody who's incredibly prescient, somebody who's been a game changer here in Austin and affected all our lives. One of the founding directors of South by Southwest, Louis Black.
Good morning and thank you. I actually asked to do this because we are here today because of Richard Linklater. After he made Slacker, when he decided to stay in Austin, when he remained committed to the Austin Film Society, he planted all the seeds of what we get to reap once a year at South by Southwest, but also every 365 days out of the year where there's always incredible films being screened in Austin, amazing films being made in Austin. The Austin Film Society, of which he's creative director, on an ongoing basis, provides fantastic programming all year round, and if you're not members and you're Austinites, then you should be. Rick asked us to keep the hyperbole down, so instead of saying that this is one of the greatest working American filmmakers, I'll say a mildly entertaining American filmmaker. I suspect we're about to see another masterpiece from a man who has made so many, but again, mildly entertaining ones. This incredible Richard Linklater.
Thank you, Louis. Thank you, Janet. Oh man, it's always an honor to be here at South by. We're really looking forward to showing the film. This film never leaves the border of Texas, kind of like me before I was 20 years old. So we're really looking forward to watching this with the Texas audience. So thank you for having us. Hope you guys enjoy the movie. Thanks for being out here early. Just settle in and come aboard. So okay, and then I'll have cast members and we'll be up here after, right?
And this film is eligible for an audience award too, so remember to vote.
So all right, thanks so much.
Everybody ready? Let's bring back Richard Linklater. Well, let me bring that out.
folks who are here. My co-producer and editor, Sandra Adair. Yeah, co-producer, first AD, all-around co-collaborator, Vince Palmo's here. Is Rodney here? Rodney Becker, production designer, wherever you are, amazing job. Couple producers, John Sloss is here. And yeah, I really want to ask Jonathan Searing from IFC to please stand up, wherever you are. Jonathan Searing, are you here? There he is. He's the guy at IFC who gave us a little money every year for 12 years to do this film. It was, as you can imagine, a really impractical, crazy movie to try to undertake. And he wins a special medal for jumping through hoops every year at the corporate level when they say, what the fuck is this on the books that comes out 10 years from now? Or what the hell are you doing? So thank you for believing in us all these years. We wouldn't be here without you. So, I don't know, there's so many more people to thank. But, I mean, over 450 people, cast and crew, worked on this over the 12 years. So, I mean, that's incredible.
How did it feel watching it today? You premiered at Sundance, you were in Berlin, and here, so how's it feel bringing it here?
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, I love the Paramount. I love watching movies here. What about you? What was that like? You've seen it, or anybody?
It's strange seeing that there's certain elements that nobody reacts to here that, you know, when they do the salute to the Texas flag in Berlin, people are really confused. But the truth is, I mean, playing here at South by for this audience here today, it's kind of what you make the movie for. I really, every time I've ever been here, the way that this town supports movies, just to see you guys here today, it's finally finished. You know, that sort of feels like, you know, we started this so long. Lorelei was just a little girl, and to actually be done today, that's what it feels like, is that it's done.
Well, let's hear from Ellar and Lorelei.
It was a really beautiful experience. I've grown up going to this theater. It's a really sentimental place for me, and seeing that particular movie on the big screen was a lovely experience.
I think growing up, when I imagined the movie playing, I always kind of imagined it playing here, so.
Let's go straight to the audience. Questions? Yes?
Beautiful movie. I don't know if I want to see anything else after this because I think it's going to suffer by comparison.
We feel that way about making it.
And the question is, how much of it was organic, that it was just happening, and how much of it was your writing?
Just to repeat the question, it was that this was so amazing, she doesn't want to see anything after it, actually.
She's back for the festivals.
Yeah, so, pretend I didn't say that. But the question was how much of it was organic and how much of it was written? And
Well, it's all written and constructed. I mean, it's not a documentary, so I mean, it was all planned out and rehearsed. And I mean, we put so much thought and pre-production and time into this over the years. But you know, usually we shoot about 3 days a year, but you still have to cast and location scout and get a crew, and you know, so it was, everything about this movie was odd and kind of impractical, kind of crazy. You know, at the end of the day here, we spent a year in pre-production. You know, for a shoot that we shot, I think, total 39 days, but a year of pre-production, 2 years of post-production. I mean, everything about it is just doesn't make sense. So.
well, I think when people, when they look at it, it's sort of like, as you envisioned it, when you were thinking, you knew it was going to be 12 years going forward, right?
Yeah, the 12 years thing came from 1st through 12th grade. You know, the public education, you're kind of sentenced to that. And I remember as a kid thinking, like, I'll be an adult, or life will change, or something will be great after that. So.
And then when you were just, so you sort of had this sense of an arc, and then how much did you tune into what was happening with your real characters?
Oh, very much. I mean, I always knew, I mean, there were all these ideas going in, of course, kind of an outline, but it was, you know, it's very collaborative. You know, Ethan's worked with me a bunch over the years, Patricia, kind of knew what was her character, what was going to happen. But every year we would spend time, talking about, the ideas for next year, what was going on. And I mean, obviously Lorelei, I kind of knew always what was going on in her life. But Ellar, or maybe I didn't, but Ellar, yeah, we were just felt like family. We would talk throughout the year, and I would just developmentally see where he was at. And somewhere along the way, he became a collaborator just like Ethan or Patricia or anybody else, We'd have scenes and ideas, we'd workshop them, a lot of rehearsal.
And how much, actually for you kids, how much did your feelings about being in it change over the time period, You signed on when you were quite young.
Well, there was one year when I asked my dad if my character could possibly die.
That was the Harry Potter year. She really didn't want to dress up.
Eventually, I was grateful to be part of the project. Rebellious phase.
But for the record, I didn't drag her into this project. I would have been disowned as a father had I not cast you when you were 8 years old. She was singing and dancing and all that stuff. Wanted to be an actress, but she's a painter now, so that sort of changed over the years. And Ellar was 6 when I met him.
My feelings changed a lot, I think, but definitely as I got older, I became a lot more invested, I think, in the project and just kind of grateful for it and just aware, I guess, of what it really was that we're doing.
Well, the casting is so crucial about knowing this kid that you're going to go on this journey with, and it was, how did you just know, or you went through a million kids, or?
I mean, met a lot of kids. That was certainly the big leap. That was the big decision on this movie. I remember, meeting a lot of kids. Ellar just had this kind of special quality. He was acting, at that time, he had been in a movie and I think a few other things, had a headshot resume, so he kind of already showed some intention, and his family was behind it. A lot of it, when you're casting someone that young, you're really casting the parents. His parents are artists, and you needed that family support, because this was they had to see some value in it, that it was some kind of artistic thing that maybe would be hopefully a good thing in someone's life, not some kind of awful burden. And you can't, I found out along the way, you can't contract anyone. It's a good thing. You can't contract anyone to do anything more than 7 years, legally. So we were all taking this huge leap of faith. Our making of
That's why I'm renegotiating my contract now.
Yeah, right.
I see some possibilities.
We're going to call our making of documentary from the kids' point of view 12 Years a Slave, I think. Can I give a shout out to Zoe Graham, who's Sheena, in town from college? Just say hi. That's all right there. There's other cast members in there, especially Sheena. She's great.
I mean, Ellar, I don't know if I can speak for you, but one of the things that was so interesting about working with you on this is watching. You always had an interest in acting and anything artistic. You always had a real interest for it. But watching you learn how to become an actor, I mean, that's what really happened through the course of it. Rick has an extremely unique approach to making movies anyway. I mean, the collaborative process we have that started on Before Sunrise. I was not that much older than you are now when I worked with Rick the first time, in which he basically brings you into a room and has an outline and the graph of what the thing is going to be about. But the details of how you get from A to Z, he's willing to collaborate and hear you on and invite you to be a filmmaker with him. And I think that's what he did with you, with both of you guys. In watching you guys, at first it was kind of an experiment, kind of fun, and then it became something it became our kind of joint art project. It was these parallel lives.
Kathleen too, I mean, you joined in, this was a long-range commitment for you. Do you have any idea what you were signing on for?
Oh, fun. No, I lucked out, I mean, what a great project to be, brought in on and to get to participate in. And people keep saying, what are you going to do after this? And I'm like, I don't think I can top this, so I don't know.
Cool. Audience? Yes?
Okay, so first off, killer soundtrack.
First off, killer soundtrack. Loved it.
Ethan was awesome. born and raised in Houston, so I was down as well. My question is, how are you able to keep the look of the film constant with the different changes in film technology over the past 20 years?
Question is, how are they able to keep the look of the film constant with all the changes in
a
technology?
a huge concern. In '02 when we started, I mean, that was the idea. I wanted the film to seem like one film, not a series of films or anything like that. So I think the biggest single choice was just choosing to shoot on film, 35. You know, I knew, I don't know how many films at South by this year are shot on film, but this is one of them.
We're only showing one.
One of the few. Really?
The original
35.
The original Godzilla is the only one we showed at 35.
We're digitally projected. Because I knew we would have this digital finish, but you know, 35 negative is still the most consistent thing you can get. So that was a big decision, and just the tone of it, trying to keep it similar style. I wanted there to be no visual indicators from the film. It would just come from what you're looking at. That was the big idea, I guess.
In the back, we got somebody in black standing by now. I'm trying to go. Get ready if they won't go to you next, but in the back on the side there.
How much did the ultimate arc of the story shift through time as the characters grew up?
How much did the ultimate arc shift through time? Well, we knew 12 years would pass, and that would be the arc itself, really. I mean, but not so much. I mean, I knew the last shot. I think what the movie was going to be year 2. I think I kind of knew.
You explained the movie to me, I guess 13, 14 years ago. Just in New York, Rick came to New York and talked to me about what this idea of this movie would be, and it's shocking to me. Despite all the weird variables of time and how life changes and everything, how much the movie looks exactly like you said it was going to look about 14 years ago.
Yeah, that was my hope.
Yes, on the mezzanine. Yeah.
2 questions. Could you publish the blacklist, the blackout list?
Blackout.
Yeah.
It's great. That's great. Yeah.
That was my present to my 15-year-old.
Yeah. I like that so much. He's a musician.
I'll burn it for you if you want.
We're hoping you can it'll be an iTunes thing at some point. You can get.
I want Paul and Yoko and the States to get together and do it as a tribute album. Because it's 1970, 1980. It's a great collection, and I really.
Because we shot more of that scene. Ethan was kind of. You were talking how much you like the songs, but you were also kind of saying what's wrong with each Beatles solo
That's
stuff.
the part you cut out.
Too much of this, too much of that, too much. So I cut that part out. So maybe we'll get that.
We can talk about John's self-righteousness and Paul's goofiness and George's over-spirituality.
And we can't sing very well.
Yes, blue shirt in the mezzanine. Yeah. Yep. Go ahead.
Loved the film. I'm almost 18 myself, so a lot of those touchstones in Mason's life I recognize from my own life, like riding a ripstick, listening to Soulja Boy. So, did you know when you were making those individual years, the films would be remembered later on as hearing Hey Ya makes me think of 2003, 2004, or did you add the songs in later?
Well, added all the music later, but it was kind of the ongoing process in the post-production was, listening to music from that year and kind of guessing, or just trying to have our ear to the ground on what. I mean, I'm out of that demographic. It's different from me. So I had a couple consultants that were around these guys' age who were. Yeah, I mean, it was listening. Well, Ellar's taste was so far beyond. He's 8. What do you listen to, Ellar? Oh, Tool. He was not much help in this category. The second grader we listened to are watching. Ellar didn't qualify. He's watching Hostel. He's watching, whatever.
Speaking that way, do you know how Ellar doesn't say this to Rick, but one of the ways Ellar was smart enough to separate himself from all the other kids who come in an audition, because Rick asked him, does he like any movies? He said his favorite movie was Waking Life. And that compliments get you everywhere in life.
I don't remember that. A 6-year-old you'd see Waking Life? Oh well. Print the legend. But no, the music, I knew, to answer your question, I knew it would be a big factor. The way cinema and music works, particularly in a period film, music's a really powerful, emotional memory recall thing. And I knew it would be, but it was just a question of what. So a lot of those consultants and people, I had them say, what the song meant to them. Like, oh, I remember, you know, after my first kiss driving with this, you know, I wanted someone to have had an experience, even though it wasn't my experience. You know, I wanted someone to have, that song have meant something to them. But as we got older, you know, the taste of Mason becomes more like Ellar's taste. And I knew more of that music too, as they got older, and stuff I was listening to.
Jim?
Richard, we see the characters change and grow up in the film, but your life also over those 12 years really changed. So how, as a director, do you keep alive that original vision and still be in the reality of your life today as a director?
The question is that Richard's life changed a lot over these 12 years, so how did he keep the vision sort of intact?
Well, that's a question. How much does your life change in 12 years? How much doesn't it? You know, I remember, obviously for the kids, I mean, it's doubled their life at that point, so that's a huge amount of change. But I remember when I called up Patricia Arquette and talked to her about maybe playing the mom, one of my things I said was like, well, where are you going to be 12 years from now? You know, you'll probably be looking for a part. If we're lucky to even be here, you'll be looking for a part. I'll be trying to get a movie made. And that's where we are today. So 12 years in an adult life isn't, I mean, it's a lot. You know, it's 4,300 days of your life, but it's, you know, I kind of feel like I haven't changed that much. I got 2 more kids. I got, you know, we all had, you know, life changes a lot, but kind of the same interest, doing the same stuff, so kind of stuck with ourselves to some degree.
We only have time for like 2 more, so yes.
Did you encounter any logistical hurdles in being able to bring back a lot of the supporting actors that either you were able to overcome or weren't able to overcome?
The question is logistical hurdles in the supporting characters.
Not really. We were, by the end, a lot of the people, they're in it for a year or two, and then, but by the end, you know, especially the graduation party, you see some of them again. That was the idea. So everything was a logistical problem. Cathleen, I mean, everything was kind of crazy, but it was fun. By the end, the graduation party and some of that, it felt like a family reunion. You know, it's so weird. We had a cast and crew screening 2 weeks ago, and it was sort of like, wow, you know, seeing people you hadn't seen in 11 years sometimes to be at the.
Yeah. So Mindy and the characters.
Yeah, Mindy and Randy.
Mindy and Randy. So they were actually at the cast and crew screening, and they're doing well.
The thing is, we got really lucky. Everybody's doing well. People ask, well, what if, you know, something awful would have happened to one of them? I said, well, that would have been awful if something happened to them. That, not, you know, my first thought, I hope, wouldn't be, oh, the film came out. It's just like life, you know, we all hope for the best, and we all have some faith in this future, and that, you know, so statistically, you know, there's a good chance of that. So it was a leap of faith, though. Maybe it's an optimistic film that way, just the idea that we would be here all these years later. But, you know, you gotta believe in the future a little bit, you know?
I know there are a lot of you, but we're going to go with one more really burning desire. I feel like we favored the front a little bit. Over there.
I did say if something happened to me, Ethan had to finish the film. The last couple of years.
Yeah.
I love that you made Texas practically a character in the film, shooting all different locations in Texas. Was that intentional from the start? And how? I love that part.
The question is how Texas is actually a character in the film. Was that intentional?
Yeah, I mean, Texas, it's a big state. I remember going, you know, all over the state, moving around and things, and it, you know, it wasn't later till I felt kind of like, wow, I haven't really ever left the state, but it felt like I had. You know, there's so much, Texas is so varied. So that was our backdrop. We couldn't afford to, you know, go anywhere else. But it was, yeah, we got a little bit East Texas, a little West Texas, but it's really about Central Texas, Houston, you know, I don't know, it was just, that was the location. The film's very specific in that way, but it's obviously trying to say something much more, you know, universal, I think, about growing up anywhere, you know, so, but I think that can be found in the specific. This film's kind of a contradiction that way. It's very specific, but it's going for something very universal. You know, it's very low budget and indie, but it's kind of it's an epic too, so I still feel all those contradictions flying around the film, so it's kind of a cool feeling. You don't get to go much.
I wish we could, I'm sorry we couldn't get to all your questions, but I just want to say, not that it matters necessarily, but this is a singular achievement film. It's never been done before. It's like one of the masterpieces for all time. I just am so grateful. It's great being here